7 p.m. from Fishbowl Studios.
Log on to hear us speaking the facts on current events, family, and finances.
So be sure to log on each week on Wednesday at 7 p.m. to catch Speaking the Facts with Charlie and JR.
Tune in.
What's up, y'all? What's up? We are back. This is Speaking the Facts with Charlie and JR. I am, of course, JR. My lovely daughter and co-host Charlie is sitting beside me. How you doing, baby?
Good, Dad. How you doing?
I am above ground, so it's a good day. No complaints.
None.
As you can see, there is no middle chair.
Correct me.
So we are gonna talk amongst ourselves tonight.
Yes.
You know, and I think we'll have a pretty interesting conversation. I'm glad to see that our behind the scenes guest made it back in. I was a little concerned.
Yeah, me too.
But we're gonna go ahead and do what we usually do with the housekeeping. Speaking the Facts with Charlie and JR is brought to you by Kiss Wealth Now.
That's
Not
right.
taking care of not some, not half, not a little bit, but all of your residential and commercial real estate needs. Tell them how to get Kiss Wealth Now, Charlie.
So Kiss Wealth Now is available on all social media platforms as that. We're available 24/7. That means you can go onto our website, get information. The website is Kiss Wealth Now all together. And again, we want to serve you. We want to help you guys out. Nowadays, money's just not enough. I made a video about that. You've got to have a legacy. You got to have something that creates stability, and you do that through real estate. So, and one thing with real estate is you can buy it and don't even have to make an investment. There's programs out there that makes your initial investment for you.
Oh, yeah.
So then, when times, potentially get hard, if they do, you still have something that you can cash out.
That's right.
And money, it goes away.
That's what it feels like. It just goes away.
It goes away, yeah.
Yeah.
But your real estate is something different. So I would love to help you guys. If you have questions, and you just want to talk about why money ain't good enough. We all have a reason why it ain't, right?
That's right.
Reach out to me. My number 214-738-4913. And as we always also say, your health is your wealth.
Yeah. And I have talked to a web designer. I have to get the site Kiss Health Now up because we need to take care of ourselves too. We need to actively participate in taking care of ourselves. We, especially us black and brown people, we have gotten in the habit, and black men really, we have gotten into the habit of ignoring things and thinking it's just going to go away and it's going to take care of itself. And unfortunately, in many, many cases, it doesn't.
Right.
We've had a couple of guests here on the show who had serious medical conditions or even a heart attack.
Right.
We had one guest that had a heart attack at
Correct.
the dealership while he was buying a car.
That's right. Yes, I remember.
So we want to stop ignoring our health, stop ignoring the signs when our body talks to us. We want to take care of it so it can take care of you.
That's right, 'cause you
down
need
the
it.
road. Because it is really fun to be able to get around at this age.
Yeah, and it's good to have all your original parts.
Yeah.
Now if you need some other parts to make it, that's fine. But if you can make it with all your original part, I like to say an archaic.
Yeah.
I'm an archaic person. I still got all my original parts.
My parts is old.
But they're original.
Yep.
So
They're original. It's like that car. You go out there and you have to. You don't want nobody to touch it because everything's original. Yep.
That's right.
But we figured that what we would do tonight. I forgot about our alter egos.
Okay.
Although one of them isn't here, we will acknowledge her anyway.
That's right.
But our alter egos are the fly guy and the fly girls. I am. Don't call it a comeback because I've been fly.
That's right.
And over there, that's Fly Money. And the second fly girl who hasn't made it inside yet, Kim, a.k.a. This Shit's Fly. So we that's the fly guy and the fly girls, and we got Chance over there on the knobs and faders. What's up, Chance? That's just kind of sneaking in,
Right.
But we noticed you anyway.
That's right.
But we figured that we would talk about, relationships, talk about, how, what makes them work if we can, what makes them not work, talk about what, maybe what women need from men, or what women don't like about men, or talk about what women about what men need from women, or maybe what we don't get from them, what we feel like we don't get from them. So. I figured I would just, because you went through a divorce recently,
right?
And it was, I know it was traumatic, but from your side of the fence, what do you feel like brought that about?
I love that. That's a good question. So yeah, divorce is final August 15th. I'm like, yay. But what brought it about is, I think from probably most people, and that is falling out of what things were, meaning out of love.
Yeah.
And so, and somebody, I can't remember what his name is, he said, you can really fall out of love with a person in 15 minutes. And, it don't take, that's not a long time, right? Strike one, strike two, strike
I'm going to have to chew on that one for a minute.
I know, chew on it, because, we know that love releases chemicals in the brain.
Right.
Okay. And as we go through things with an individual, those chemicals are maybe not as prominent, the feeling that you're having, it may not be there, and again, 15 minutes could be quick, but if it was 15 minutes, why would you stay?
Exactly. Why would you? But talking about because there is the biological process of feeling love.
That's right.
But
That's
there
right.
also is the rational side of it, which is, there is a difference between an emotion and a feeling. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
yes.
And a feeling like this mic stand, it feels a little cool.
Right,
You
yeah,
put
right.
your hand on a hot stove, that's hot.
Right,
Or
yeah.
you stick your head in the freezer. It's like, it feels cold in
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
On a hot summer day especially. But yeah, those are feelings. They are tactile responses.
Right, right.
Whereas emotions are different.
Right.
Emotions, you don't really have a choice in how your hand responds to what's cold or what's hot. You feel cold the way you feel cold, but you don't really have a choice
Right.
in how you feel it.
Right.
But we have a choice in our emotions. We have a choice in how we feel about things when it comes to our emotions. I know I'm trying not to mix the words up, but
Right.
we have a choice in how we perceive our emotions and how we allow them to reside with us. I'll
Right.
put it that way. And so talk about falling out of love with someone. Do you feel like women fall out of love with men? I guess there are obvious reasons, infidelity and things like that. But do you feel like that a lot of women fall out of love with men because they're looking for the man to make them happy?
That could be, I feel like there's a lot of people who, when you break up, a lot of the advice that I've been given is take time, learn yourself, take time. Everybody, take time, learn yourself. And so if you could fall in love with someone and not know who you are, and as you evolve into an individual, are you evolving into who that person is? Or if you fall in love with a person and you know who you are, and in that relationship, maybe you become someone else. And there's all these different variations, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, if a person doesn't know who they are, at least doesn't know what makes them happy or finds happiness in this other person, and that person is not giving them happiness for whatever the reason is, then yeah, that could change the dynamic, But I think, when we're talking about a commitment, people do their emotions, those chemical imbalances are going to change throughout that whole time. But what's supposed to keep you there is that, that commitment. I've heard people say all the time, oh, we falling out of love all the time, you know what I mean? But they stay there because of the commitment, the family. But I actually believe that when people stay in situations that are bad, I think they're just necessarily addicted to the attachment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, this person's here, and yeah, they're not doing what I like, but I'm used to having them here.
Yeah.
And that, and that's, and doesn't mean that you don't. I mean, the love is different. It's not a romantic love, because we're supposed to begin the day with love, end the day with love. And if everybody loved one another, the world would be a better place, right? So we're talking about, not necessarily being in love, right? You'll fall out of love with that person, but you'll still have love for them. And I think the addiction would make a person stay when they should go, because I don't know, I'm thinking that's probably what happened to me. I was just addicted to having somebody there, didn't mean that person was good for me.
Okay, well, let's dive into that a little bit. Let's dive into falling out of love.
In 15 minutes.
Well, we our show used to be 15 minutes. But I mean, let's talk about that. Because if you fall in love with someone, then are you falling out of love with them because they've changed or because you've changed? I guess that's my first question.
It could probably be on both sides, but I've also heard that a lot of people say, well, I fell in love with someone, but then I don't really know if I've ever truly been loved. Like, you may fall in love with a feeling that you feel, but there's so much more outside of that, So if it's just the bare minimum, I think when you're young and in love, it's all about the feelings, right? It's like, oh, we both like ketchup. It's just so. Chance, would you agree? Because you don't know what love is, So
I do wish Chance had a mic. I would query him. I would ask him questions.
Well, but if he smiles good, I'd be like, okay, he agrees with me. He's on my page. And then when you get a little bit older, then you say, well, we like the same things, but I want to go some places. And can this person, can we go some places, And it's not necessarily, in your 20s. I mean, you want to be here for the future, but you're not necessarily some people look at somebody at 20 years old and be like, yeah, this is, I got it all mapped out, but most people are they're learning as they go along, so our expectations increase as we mature, right? Again, the commonalities, besides eating and liking the same music, having the same favorite song, going to the same school, working at the same place, people want more than that, outside of that. They want some fulfillment and, and be stimulated, whatever that is, whether or not it's being able to talk about politics or, are they injecting turkeys? Wherever you're at, in this intellectual conversation.
It's baking versus deep frying.
Right. If that is, what you want, if you want to be stimulated and you want more, and everybody's more is different, but yeah, and at certain point in times, obviously the older you get, the more mature you get, and I look at maturing on a couple of different levels. A person can say, oh, I'm mature. I get up as I'm supposed to. I go to work. I take care of my bills. I come home. But, are you able to have conversation? Do you believe in God? Are you saved? Do you go to church? Whatever those things are for that person.
Well, I guess I'm just sitting over here kind of absorbing all of this because you said something earlier about falling in love and not knowing who you are. I'm wondering if that's really possible. To what I'm saying? To actually fall in love with someone else without knowing who you are. You can like that feeling, but because.
But you're also saying this as, your age. If you have a young person, like, I like what you like.
Well, I mean,
you want to go where you want to go.
Well, yeah, well, yes. My ability to discern what love is, what I think love is anyway, has advanced with my years.
That's
sure.
right.
But at its heart, because we believe that God created love.
Correct.
God did not create imperfection, so it must lie with us. So, but if that perfection, or as close as possible, is possible, then that's what I want.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I it's like if I went out and like I said, I really wish Chance had a mic. I would ask him this question. But I think Chance would agree. If as fellas, if we went out and bought a Ming vase, a Ming vase would cost $250,000 or more. If I brought a Ming vase home, and I am going to cherish that vase. I'm probably going to put it up on a shelf somewhere and put a light over it where people can see it. I'm probably going to keep the dust off of it.
Right.
I'm going to cherish the experience of that Ming vase. Now, of course, most people that can really afford them have maids and butlers that keep them clean. But still, the point, you know what I'm saying? The point is that for the person that you say you love is not supposed to cease being special. And that, to me, that doesn't mean that I have to like you every minute of the day to be in love with you. I had to learn that. I did. I had to learn that. But for me, I learned that with Nora more than anyone. I learned that I don't have to, I can maybe you, I don't know, maybe I'm a guy being on the rag, but maybe I'm on the rag today and you left a dish in the sink. I don't know what, something could be something simple that maybe I let it annoy me.
Right.
But that should not keep me from being in love with the person.
Right. And the example you just gave would be an example of someone who's not emotionally mature enough to say, this rag is in the sink, and is it gonna change anything? Is the house gonna blow up, or is somebody, so
Yeah.
just minor things, but it goes back to being able to, you see the dishes in the sink and you don't like it, so you take care of it, and the next day, hey love, would you mind, hey, I took care of that dish in the sink, or whatever, if it bothers you like that, but I feel like, again, not when it comes to love, and if you really love that person, not all things, because we all get irritated, but not
Right.
all things are worth mentioning,
Right.
because, is it, are we keeping count? And, and that's the thing, if you can, I don't know who said it, but, if you wrote down everything that your partner did that upset you, and you just, I didn't really like this, I didn't like this, and you just did that every day, then, where's your, do you have any positive,
Right.
And that would make that person feel like, gosh, I'm being nitpicked,
Well, I'm paraphrasing slightly, but one of the characteristics of love in the Bible is not keeping tally, not taking
tally.
wrongs into account.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So again, I should be able to, and I guess as a sidebar, we have to work on raising our young people better, so they understand the use of that word love. They understand what it really means and what they're really saying.
Right.
But
it could be a mistake, and you say, I take it back. No. I did not mean that. I take it back. And you were never supposed to have it.
That was a slip of the tongue.
I know, and you were not supposed to have it in the first place. I take back my love.
But
and guess what? Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Uh-oh.
That's how love goes. It gets more expensive. No.
That is not how love goes, y'all.
It does if you can fall out of it in 15 minutes.
Well, yeah. See, that's what I'm kind of getting to. I think we are very loose with the word love,
right?
Not understanding, being in love with someone. They're supposed to be, you're supposed to be in love with them every time you see them. Now, that doesn't mean you have to agree with them every time you see them,
right,
or agree with them every conversation you're having. But you're still supposed to be in love with them. But in order to be in love, you have to be able to not take things personal.
Right.
I had that discussion with someone recently.
No, you can't.
But
if you're truly in love with someone, then then you don't see things in a harmful light. Now, again, leaving, for the ladies, if the man leaves the toilet seat up, that's not an intentional, like, I'm trying to make sure you fall in the toilet on purpose type deal.
Right. But if you do. Well, let's dig into a little bit of dirt. So because you do a lot of sister engagements, a lot of sister gatherings. So what's the skinny on us? What general reasons do women give for not liking their men or not loving men or you know what I'm saying, not being able to maintain that feeling that we're talking about?
Right. Well, most ladies like to be able to communicate, and be able to talk with their person, and to be able to agree to disagree if have to, but just be able to have a conversation and be heard. And not feel like they're, roommates. I was talking with a friend recently, and her and the individual would come home and just be at home, no conversation, but they could talk, during the day, hey, what about this or what about that, and that, but you get home and it's just like, what happened, So, of course, infidelity is always, one of the biggest thing, and how that happens, what it looks like, what else you got? A person maybe just being mean, and the biggest word of the day is, narcissist. That's something that's been around for a long time. Narcissist is a new term. I don't know how long it's been out there, but
It's been around a while.
Been around a while, but that's the biggest thing, hey, someone's going to be, if they're not honest, they're not considerate, they're not, paying attention to maybe what the kids need, what she needs, not being, not taking them out on dates. And I have for several friends, they say, hey, we go out on a date every week, we're not going to miss it. That is our time, because life does get away from you,
Yeah.
So again, it's just what you make important. So for the most part, I guess the woman really not feeling important or feeling used because the guy is off living life, and then the woman maybe being an afterthought.
Okay.
After all the things are done.
Okay. Let me give you the skinny on what. Well, you brought up infidelity. Let me give you. I guess it's not just my take. Let me give you the discussion, the male locker room discussion.
Yeah.
For what makes a lot of men go outside their relationships. Now you have to take away the nymphomaniacs and all that, because they're so
that's a whole other category.
That's a whole other category. But when you take those away, and I've experienced this myself. I've had a woman I've been with walk in, and maybe you can nod and let me know if you've experienced this, Chance. But I've had a woman I've been with.
Chance has never dealt with. He's never been an adulterous person.
Well, no, but I'm not saying this is pre-adultery. This is
okay.
I'm just saying I've had a woman I've been with walk into the room and maybe I'm doing something, and the woman would say to me in this voice, I don't know why you're doing it that way. Or I don't know why you. Have you had that happen? Now, see, I really wish you had a mic now, because he nodded. Yeah. Now, but I'll tell you how that has made me feel, and how other men say that has made them feel. Because first of all, let's dive to the heart of the matter. If you walk up to a man and say, I don't know why you're doing that, or, well, either you really don't know why I'm doing it, or you know why as far as process, but you don't understand why I'm doing it. But in either case, that's not the way to approach it. You ask, why are you doing that way? And give the person a chance to explain. See, but that approach, that I don't know why you're doing it that way, that men,
it touches a nerve.
Most men are and I'll see if Chance agrees with this. Most men are M&Ms, and I'm going to say that I'm one as well. Meaning that I have a very hard candy shell, but I'm kind of soft on the inside. Yeah, so Chance agrees with that too. So, but that candy shell, the people that we love, have the hammer that breaks it real easy.
And see, okay,
And for women need to be loved, men need to be needed. And if you're
Right.
speaking to me like you don't respect me, then in my book you don't need me. And
Right.
and I
And see, and that's what you just, and that's one thing I did not mention, but you just described it there, and that women, want to be led, but that man has to lead them with more than saying they're just a man. And that goes back to respect.
Hey.
So, if the woman's not respecting the man, then she's going to ask, why are you doing it like that? But if she is respecting you, then later on she may say, after it's done or whatever, oh, can I help with this? Or why, I'm trying to think of another way. I see you're doing it like this. Why are you doing like, more inquisitive?
Inquisitive, yeah.
Yeah. Versus, just like a straight out questioning.
Yeah, because if you walked up to a coworker and said, I don't know why you're doing that, the coworker would in 99% of the cases be a little peeved with you.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So why
so
would you treat the person that's supposed to be special in that manner? And that is that, that if a man doesn't feel like he's respected, a lot of them will. I said there are the types that get loud, they get violent, but the ones that don't get loud, the ones that don't get violent, they just get quiet and they go somewhere else.
Right, but that's the thing is, again, being able to have those emotional, intelligent conversations, on both sides, right?
Yeah.
Because if both people feel disrespected, then it needs to cool down, or they need to be able to talk about it, But if a man is feeling like, hey, my manliness is being, I feel like it's being compromised with you, or I'm not feeling it, explain why. I think a lot of men say that they want to lead just because they're a man, but outside of that, like, what are you leading me to? It can't be just to the bedroom,
Right.
I want to be led someplace else, I want to be able to, again, have intellectual conversations, plan to grow, whether or not, if you're young, trying to have a family, how are you going to take care of the family? Or if the family's grown, how are you retiring? There's all these different things in life, and wherever a person's at. But again, being able to feel like that man that you choose is going to lead you to those places.
And I understand and agree with what you're saying. I guess the question for both men and women that I'm formulating as you're talking is, how do we not know that the person that we've chosen is not going to have those conversations?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How, do you just hit a light switch and the conversation goes away? Or are we ignoring the things that we see and just latching on to the few things that we like?
Right, exactly. Because the things you like can definitely overshadow, the red flags,
Yeah, because that's what it sounds like. Sounds like we're ignoring the red flags. That's
Right.
what it sounds like to me.
But then when you are able to establish what love is, whatever that is for that person, that chemical imbalance, if it's there and it's staying, if it's for some reason altered in any way, and it's not unforeign. Like, we learn what we like and what we don't like. So as you get more mature and you start, these people may do things and you're like, I really don't like that. Like, I don't like that. And that's probably going to bring out something in me that I don't even want, so,
Right.
And that's where situations, that's the other word, toxicity, right? It gets toxic where people push one another's red buttons and they just stay because they're addicted to having someone there versus really, truly wanting someone there that you'll love,
Yeah.
Because obviously logic and fear, logically you want to be with someone who loves you and who wants the best for you, and you can rely on and depend on. But then people they'll let go of the logic and say, well, I'm going to stay with this person who doesn't do any of those things because I fear being by myself.
Or because I've latched on to a feeling that I had for an hour.
Right, and I'm hoping to get that back.
And I'm hoping to get that back. And that's where that's where I struggle with all this, honestly, because again, feelings are tactile responses. Emotions, as much as complex as they can be, we choose to have them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My question becomes, unless I have drastically changed, and that happens, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
It-
We get. Yeah. We
you just
get,
experienced
we,
that as well,
yeah,
didn't you?
yeah. You just like, wow.
Yeah, but
Shades removed.
but those drastic changes usually take place within 90 days.
I agree.
Would you agree with that, Chance, that a person's true personality will come out within 90 days?
If you're in the same household, if you're around each other.
Yeah, if you're around each other enough. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Now, if you're distant, then you can hide for a long time. But if you're sharing the same space.
Yeah, but even not sharing the same space, you could want Chinese food one day, and and they want barbecue the next. So you have Chinese food one day, and the next day you say, well, let's have barbecue, and they're like, I don't want that. Just a complete switch. You know what I mean? So their mood swings, regardless of living with someone, you would be able to see a person not keeping their word.
Well, yes, and I had a big conversation with the kids about that today, because you talked about reliable, dependable. You brought up you said those words, and if you are not, if you're not even batting 75% when it comes to keeping your word, because I don't think anyone is perfect at it.
No.
But if you're not, if you're not batting around these 75% or better at keeping your word, then how can a person respect you?
Right.
And I do agree that men we have not led in a manner that we should be leading our where we have not stood before our women in a manner where they could relinquish that type of control, because it when you talk about the dynamics of a relationship, there has to be a mutual understanding of where you're going, and who is the ultimate head. There has to be a head of everything.
Correct.
There has to be,
Yes, it definitely does.
when you're on a plane, the pilot and the co-pilot both have wheels, and either one can fly.
Right.
But the pilot turns over the responsibility of flying the plane to the co-pilot. The co-pilot doesn't take it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But again, I agree that men, we have not, in a lot of instances, we have not stood. There are so many women that are raising their children by themselves.
In a marriage or in a relationship.
In a
Because I
relationship,
think, I don't want to say old school, but, most men, I think, would say, that they're leading, that what do they want for their woman? They want a woman who's going to cook, clean, and, if you're trying to have a family, But, that's really not, it's not really a lot, And so you'll hear that, men, that you're simple creatures. But at the same time, you do have needs outside of cooking and cleaning and maybe having kids, that you may have some things that you're wanting to do. And you would choose a woman that would help you achieve those goals. Vice versa, if there's things that this woman is wanting to do, she can't be told, well, you can't do it, or don't do it, or you don't, or you shouldn't do it, if you know that this is helping me achieve the things that I want to do in life. Now, I'm not saying go jump out of a plane, I've done it.
You did it.
I did it, but, if your mate doesn't want you to jump out the plane or drive a motorcycle for fear that it would happen, that's something that would be mutual, right? But if you want to go to school to maybe have a career, and maybe this career is going to allow you to make money, and maybe more than your spouse, then that could be a problem,
Well, yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. Women being intimidated of their men, and men being intimidated of their women, because I see it happening on both sides. Usually, when a man is intimidated by his woman, it's usually one or two things. And I'll ask Chance for a nod on this, but it's usually one or two things. It's usually either he's intimidated by her vibe. He's intimidated by her vibe, that she can walk into a room and everybody will notice her. They'll want to talk to her, and he's uncomfortable that part I don't really understand, because if you think somebody's fine, surely somebody else is going to think that she's fine.
Because don't nobody want nothing that don't nobody else want.
Right. So, but it's either the man is intimidated by her vibe, or the man is intimidated by her money. Chance is nodding. Yeah, it's usually one of two things in my experience. One of those two things in my experience. So we'll talk about men being intimidated by their women first, and then we'll flip it over. We got a few minutes. Yeah.
Yes, we have a few minutes. Okay.
So
I don't have my watch
I
on.
think you have. In my observation, I think you have. The men in your life have been intimidated by both your vibe and the money that you have earned. And I guess what do you need to look for? I guess you know what you need to look for. You can articulate it. So I guess that's the wrong question. But how do you find a person that's not? I mean, do we need a red flag manual? You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
I know, right? I have, and that's a great question, because that has been a situation, a source of contention, and not in a good way, where there's a level of insecurity due to money. But I don't know. I still am old fashioned in that I do believe in love, definitely black love, brown love, black and brown love,
That's right.
So I don't measure love by money. Money obviously with anything is helpful, but if you're within your budget, then you should be okay. But yeah, so I absolutely have no clue, because I've heard different people say different things. Well, like, you can't date a person who makes date a man who makes less money than you, because he'll take an issue with you, And I'm just like, well, I've heard that a time or two. I've seen it a couple of times. I've lived it, you know what I mean? So just.
Well, I mean, I guess I don't know, how do you spot it? I guess that's the question, because I think that a lot of women that I've met in the last 10 years, I would say, have been, I won't use the word intimidated because I don't want to sound egotistical, but I will say they've been concerned about the fact that other people might find me attractive. And to be honest, that's my mother loved me unconditionally. And she never once said, Juan, you're a handsome guy. You're a handsome young man. She never once said that to me. That's always been the farthest thing from my mind.
Right.
And even if someone gave me a compliment, okay, thanks.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? That's the farthest thing from my mind. I think that for both men and women, again, we have to take ownership for our behavior. I asked these kids I was talking to today, I said, how many of y'all have said this week, he or she made me mad? And most of them's hands shot up in the air. I said, that's great. Thank you for responding. But the truth is, no one made you mad. Something happened and you chose to get mad about it, but they didn't make you mad.
And I love, and it's a choice,
It's
being
a choice.
happy is a choice, being in love is a choice, being mad is a choice. So, is what, where do you want to be at? And
Right.
so, and that, what you just mentioned has been an issue too. I've been told, you want to be seen or things like that, and that's not the case. I think if people are confident, confidence just comes across in a whole different way.
Right.
Than, and not to say that people don't have confidence, but just if you, wherever you're at, if you're walking in the room to do business or get on stage, meet people, whatever,
Right.
it's just something that, people are able to sense that, maybe you know what you're talking about, you understand what you're talking about, and that's what people are looking for, is an understanding.
Right.
So when you are in a space and people are coming up and conversating with you, they want to, maybe get an opinion of something, get an understanding of something. And I think the same thing for you,
Yeah.
That's why my mother fell in love with you many years ago.
And the hush fell over the audience.
But but to go back to it, I think the big question is, for everybody, what is love, and have you really been loved? And there's people out there who can say, you know what, I've been in my marriage for 30 years, and I love everything about my spouse. I love how they do, what they do, and even what they don't do, because
Right.
it's us. And at the end of the day, I think that's really, for those who are out looking, people want to be accepted for who they are.
Right.
And it would be an honor and a blessing to meet someone that was comfortable enough in their skin to be who they are and accept somebody else
Yeah.
for who they are.
And realize
and just work. Don't put on this facade and pretend to be something that you're not, because when your cover's blown, you're upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm.
Who let you in here?
Right.
Yeah.
If a person will walk up to a person and, excuse my language, and just say, "Hey, I ain't shit." Are you in an ain't shit mood? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you ready to rock with it? And maybe one day I'll get better.
Yeah. But
if people walked up with that disclaimer, would you do that? If a girl walked up to you and said, "I ain't shit, but are you with the shits?" If it caught you on a good day, would you be like, "Let's rock"?
the chance wasn't agreeing with that one, y'all.
But I know, right? Exactly. It's like, but if a person really just walked up to you and said, "Hey, I ain't shit. Are you with the shits? Let's rock." But it just doesn't happen that way. People are trying to cover up.
And I would be taken aback if someone walked up to me and said I ain't shit. I would be taken aback a bit. now because because that's where the man mind takes over. It's like,
how does ain't shit look?
It's like, hey, it's like,
look at chances like, if the ain't shit don't look too bad.
That's it. Further to the man's mind is like, okay, why are you telling me? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's cool, but we need to. I want to. Okay, this is something that I was talking to somebody about yesterday. That phrase, "we grew apart." I don't agree with that. You grow, you choose to grow apart. You know what I'm saying? Because there's always going to, human beings are going to evolve as long as they're alive.
Right.
You have to go into a relationship knowing that you're going to evolve. I think we cease accepting people for who they are.
Yeah, that's
you know
true.
what I'm saying? You don't grow apart. I had to check somebody. Well, this is my opinion. Let me put that out there. But in my opinion, and I'm about to be the man here for a minute, but I've had a couple of women try to not want to be responsible, not want to be responsible for either their tongue or their attitude, and their cavalier response has always been, "Well, it just wasn't meant to be." And finally, I had to check one of them, and I'm saying, "Well, hold the phone." It's like, are you saying that God sends people down the road, and then they get down there so far, and God says, that wasn't really meant to be. I just wanted to see if you would go. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's what you're saying. That
Right.
and I hope he don't pop in the studio, but that's ludicrous. You know what I'm saying?
I love
I hope it don't turn into a State Farm commercial, but it is. That's ludicrous. God doesn't send you down the road just to see if you'll go. Now I guess I have to bring Abram into that but even in that, there was a purpose. Abram just didn't know what it was.
Right.
There was a purpose for him telling him to take his son up on the mountain and
That's
slay
true.
him.
That's true.
He just didn't understand the purpose till he got up there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's my point, is that God doesn't move us without purpose. He's not going to move any of us and then just say, I didn't, it wasn't really meant to be. I just wanted to see if you'd go.
Right.
So anybody that talks to me, don't say that to me anymore. Because
it touches a nerve.
That's right.
But I do say, I saw a young lady was killed the other day, and I don't know what the relationship was, but they did have a kid together, and so I just still tell people, if it's toxic, recognize and realize that you're just addicted to having someone there, the feeling of having someone there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those same chemicals and emotions that you feel for a person that could be of interest or that you have interest in, you know, you can feel those same feelings doing fun and exciting things with your friends, with your family, you know, groups of people, you
Right.
know. So just learn that, you know, I hate to say it's not the end all to the be all with this one person, you know. And if you see danger, get out of a relationship.
yeah.
Don't allow that relationship to go to places that it really shouldn't. When you could just
I just became the old guy there. You know, I get my own old joke. When you said danger, all of a sudden,
Yeah, danger.
Lost in Space pops into my head. You know, the robot, danger, Will Robinson. But yeah, but he would run away like this. but yeah, you know,
before time, before,
but yeah, run away. You know,
before time for us. No, Chance didn't know what you're talking
you know,
about. No.
but
Then he's like, I didn't.
you've never seen Lost in Space, see? You know, you have because you're getting up there.
I may don't want to admit
Yeah,
it.
yeah. She's seen Lost in Space, y'all. But I guess the other thing is that be excited about your own life.
Yeah.
Don't ingratiate yourself with people because they bring excitement into your life. You know, I see that especially with women, with younger women all the time. You know, I like the bad boy. They bring the excitement. Well, they also bring a whole bunch of other things. You know, be excited about your own life. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then let somebody share that. But
Right.
but don't just jump into bed with somebody because they're exciting.
Right, and don't accept rude and bad behavior because they're excited.
Right.
Because that just keeps multiplying, you know.
Right,
And
right.
that's just on either side, you know.
yeah.
If a person's just rude and they continue to be rude and they realize that they can keep getting away with being more rude and more rude, it's just not good.
Yeah, no, and we train people how to treat us. We do.
Yeah.
And every time that we allow someone to disrespect us, and when somebody disrespects you, you don't have to chew their head off. You just have to tell them that you don't like that,
Right.
and you won't accept it.
And politely.
Yeah, and politely tell them. And if they
remove
keep
yourself
on
from the
doing it,
situation.
then you got a choice to make.
Yes.
Do you want familiarity or do you want freedom? You know what I'm saying? 'Cause-
Right, yeah, because peace is priceless.
Yes, it is.
And they, like as they say, do not lose your peace. So that's probably the biggest thing is in a relationship. Again, things happen, but for the most part, you need to have peace.
Yeah.
Especially at home. Like
Yeah. You know, we got a couple minutes. The last thing I want to talk about is getting into a relationship, and I hear a lot of women say this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I guess a lot of men do it, but I don't hear them talking about it. But I hear a lot of women say, "Well, he's mine now, so I can let myself go. I can, you know what I'm saying? I can, you know, how do you feel about getting someone and then letting yourself go? How do you what's your take on that?
Yeah, I would not like it because I, try hard to keep it together. Now, we get older, everybody gains a couple of pounds when you get older. We're probably, 10, 15 pounds more heavier,
Yeah.
than what we were 10 years ago, right? But, if you, and everybody has their thing, but yeah, keep yourself up because ideally, whatever that person fell in love with is what they want to continue to see.
Right, they want to continue to see that.
And if you're not caring for yourself and not caring for your health, that's a lot to ask someone else to care for your health and care for your well-being more than you do.
Well, exactly, more than you do, and that's another pet peeve of mine. Especially with with Nora passing away the way she did. Because I kind of broke my own golden rule because I had gotten to a place where there were certain things, health things wise, that I just wasn't, that I wasn't going to rock with,
Right.
because like you said, I don't want a person to ignore their health and then expect me to be the one to stand over them and take care of them when they've ignored their health. It's different if you did the best you could
Right,
and you
yeah.
got sick. I'm down. I'm down
Right.
with you, forever
Yeah.
and a day.
But if you're a diabetic and you eat candy every day and
Right,
you go into
it's
a
like-
diabetic coma and you have,
Yeah.
it's like, you're going to do it because you love them, but you would rather someone be responsible about their health up front.
Yeah. I want someone to do their best and let God do the rest. And then if you
That's
get
true.
sick, if you're doing your best and you get sick, I got you.
Yeah.
But if you're ignoring your health, it's hard for me to again care about you more than you care about you.
Right. And then that's kind of goes into, having those conversations up front. You know, what does it look like? You know, are you looking just to be, you know, and everybody, you know, I tease and say you may look forward to eating some ice cream together and having
Yeah.
a piece of pie or cake together, but are you going to eat pie and cake all day? Like,
No.
you know, what moves you? You know, you know, again, what are those moments that you look forward to and you're truly going to spend that time together?
Yeah.
And it could be exercising.
It could be. It could be just watching a movie, you know. But whatever it is, you know. But if you're in a relationship and you want to save it, you know, try looking at that person with eyes of love. Try being excited when that person comes in the door. Try being happy when you see that person, instead of just say, "Hey, how you doing?"
Right. Yeah.
You know, it shouldn't be another day. The most important person in your life, save God, just walked into the door. You know, so try being happy enough with yourself that you can share that happiness consistently with somebody else. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, it
And
is. Well, I mean, me and Casper get along real good.
yeah. See, that's
Casper,
it. You
Casper
know
the
who
friendly
Casper is?
ghost.
Oh, he knows who.
Yeah. Casper the friendly ghost. We get along real good.
Well, the clock on the wall says we don't have to go home, but we do have to get the out of here.
That's
So,
right.
But yeah, we could have this conversation for a long time. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, let's
when
go.
we can just sit down and just discuss, you know, men and women, you know, and you know, maybe we'll even have a panel next time where
Yeah,
we'll bring,
that'd be
you know, bring
nice.
two other
Yes.
people in where, you know, where we can get a
Yeah,
get
because we just barely, you know, touched on
we
it.
just
you know.
barely
You
scraped
got-
the surface.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
yeah.
we just flew into this conversation, and boy, are my arms tired. No.
Right, I know, right? Exactly. We're directing traffic. So as we say, love yourself, so you should love someone else, and we'll be back next week.
Same facts time, same facts channel. We will see y'all next week. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you, Facebook family, TikTok family. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. We will see y'all next Wednesday. Well, I'll see you next Wednesday.
I won't be here.
Take care.
Bye, y'all.
Hey, this is Charlie,
This is JR.
host of Speaking the Facts with Charlie and JR, broadcasting live each week on Wednesday at 7 p.m. from